44. The 49ers are 4-4 live podcast. Gotta love them. They're 4-4 midway point of the season. They made one move at the trade deadline. We'll talk about the Jeff Wilson trade, as mentioned before, halfway point of the season. Let's hand out some midseason awards here on the Sprint Right Option podcast.
Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners. Sprint Right Option podcast. Oh my goodness, live podcast. You gotta love them. We sometimes call the 49ers the 4-4ers, whatever. That's what their record is, so I guess it works. This is a new Sprint Right Option podcast. I am Andrew Pasquini, joined as always by the impeccable Jason Aponte. Jason, how you doing on this lovely Monday evening? God, I am all over the place. Friday.
What is going on?
Friday evening. We're off. We're tired. I'm already on the weekend mentally. It's the bye week. My brain doesn't have to work right now. But Jason, how are you doing on this Friday?
It's because you're wearing that $75 hat and it's like blocking everything out. I mean,
that's pretty much what it is. You know, I actually have I have the stream on a second screen here so I can see the chat running and all that stuff. And when you went live, the ad was 47 brand. Just throwing that out there. Probably curated to me, but that's neither here nor there.
And they say our phones don't listen to us. But yeah, that $75 hat is crispy. That's some rich ass shit. I mean, I couldn't do it, but hey, that's you.
Quad pay. Quad
pay. I'm good. One day off, and we'll have the rest of the week off a little bit. We'll be able to focus in on the next team on the schedule, the Los Angeles Chargers. But as of right now, let's hand out some awards. But let's talk about Jeff Wilson.
Yeah, so the trade deadline came and went, and I believe the 49ers were the only team in the NFC West to make a trade on that day, despite a certain team who plays in Los Angeles probably needing some help. And outside of the NFC West, another team who plays in Wisconsin didn't make a single move. That's neither here nor there. But the 49ers, they did make a move. They traded running back Jeff Wilson to the Miami Dolphins for a fifth-round pick. I wasn't necessarily surprised by the trade. I think that was a rumored, Jeff Wilson was going to get traded. I think a lot of people realized that. Miami was an interesting choice, and it was probably one I should have thought of because of obvious reasons. Mike McDaniel, the offensive system, all that fun stuff. It's good to see that the Niners, it seems like they worked with Wilson in order to send him to a place where he will succeed because, I mean, realistically, it's a tough situation. He's the number one running back prior to the Christian McCaffrey trade. And now going into week 10 after the bye, he's the third running back. And that's not an ideal situation with Elijah Mitchell coming back. So the Niners got a fifth-round pick out of it. And knowing the Niners, that fifth-round pick is going to be their next all-pro player. So that's cool. So, yeah, Jeff Wilson trade, what do you think, Jason?
Yeah, I just think it's good business. You have an undrafted free agent. You're able to flip him for a pick. Otherwise, he was just going to leave next year. Mm-hmm. But it was a move where, again, this front office has shown that they want to work with their players. They care about them. They're not just discarding them or anything like that. And Jeff Wilson went to the organization and said, listen, I like the role, the prominent role. I would like for that to continue. And, the 49ers, obviously, with Elijah Mitchell coming back, were able to make a move like this. I don't think they could make this move if they weren't as confident in Elijah Mitchell coming right back and contributing. Some would say, well, he's he's had an injury history. I don't like using that word injury history. But at the same time, they really care about their players. They work something out. And Jeff Wilson gets to go to somewhere where he can just hit the ground running. And, when we get to the Miami game, whom's revenge game is it going to be? It's going to be the wildest discussion now.
45-minute segment.
Yeah, we might as well just make a pod about who it could be because there's 300 people that it could be. So yeah, but good for Jeff Wilson. I think it's good on the 49ers to recoup some picks. And as you said, in the fifth round, it's usually where the 49ers make their money. So I mean, you got to feel good about their chances of hitting on something there, especially as well as they scout players.
I wanted to make the joke of, we're doing midseason awards, having a category of what's the best trade the Niners have made this season? And the joke of the Jeff Wilson trade because a fifth round pick. You can get anybody, a Christian McCaffrey with the fifth round pick, that type of deal. I won't go that far. And yeah, the fun thing about Elijah Mitchell, people talking about the, his health issues and all that fun stuff. Do you watch the Niners? It's obvious he's going to get 4 carries a game because Christian McCaffrey is going to get 150 touches every game the rest of the season. Did you not see what he did with Debo last year? He has a second Debo. Elijah Mitchell is going to have 6 carries a game on 8 snaps. So obviously that's me panicking a little bit, just as a joke to exasperate the situation. But yeah, no, Jeff Wilson, I'm happy the Niners worked with him to get him to a place where he can and should succeed. I think he's going to, they traded Chase Edmonds in the Bradley Chubb deal as well. So obviously Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson, haven't seen that in a Shanahan offense. That was the joke I used on Monday as well. I saw a lot of people use. I'm not very original on my timeline, to be honest, but that's okay. Neither here nor there. It's just a good trade. Great, yeah, exactly. Great minds think of me and 450 other people on 49ers Twitter. Great minds think alike.
I mean, when you think about the sheer scope of 49ers Twitter, 450 is a dot compared to how many people actually use 49ers
percentage of a percentage. Kyle Shanahan's on 49ers Twitter. We just don't know which account it is yet.
For sure, 100%. No,
he's in here right now. Maybe he's amateur draft scout. That could be him. I don't know. Kyle Shanahan, I know you're here, but Kyle. If you haven't already, subscribe to Jason Aponte's YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Sprint Red Option podcast on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast, Jason. I think that's all the thoughts we had on Jeff Wilson, unless I'm mistaken.
No, good luck, Jeff Wilson. Cool. Godspeed. Thank you for everything. You have every time your number was called, you are a consummate professional. So thank you, and we'll be rooting for you every week except for the week that you play the 49ers.
Beautiful. There we go. Yeah, hopefully in that Hoom's revenge game. I'm really looking forward to that, to be honest. Because we can go, because wasn't Anthony Lynn their head coach for a hot minute, or wasn't he in Miami for a hot minute? We could go that deep as well.
Maybe we could. I mean,
no, maybe he wasn't there.
No. It was he was with the Chargers, but we could just go. We could just do literally just the Miami offense, Trent Sherfield, Craig Kraft, they both caught touchdowns. Now both running backs. Now Mike McDaniel. I mean, I'm sure if we dug a little deeper and we looked at certain guys, we'd say, oh, man, that guy played for the 49ers for, a week or so. Him too. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. I love that. I love that segment because everybody can have a revenge game any week based on the fact that how people are moved around this league. So.
49er legend Tua Tagovailoa. That's what I'm always revenge game for him. So now I guess we're going to move into the main part of the podcast. Midseason awards. We talked about a couple. This obviously isn't the Sroppies. We didn't ask for the votes. I was going to make the joke because I know BKBG is in here. JKBG, there he is. Literally on point. On point. You see that? I know he's in there ready to make the joke of Sroppy Toppy, LOL, ha ha ha. We're just going to call these one the quickies because it's the midseason award just to get it out of the way. But if we have a couple of categories in our mind, if you guys have any side category you guys want to throw out there, this is all just Jason and I's opinion based on what we think. We're probably going to disagree on a few of these awards. If you guys have any categories you want to throw out, we'll take it. It could be whatever. I mean, please keep it within 49er centric, but what you guys want, whatever category, we'll take it gladly. We'll make this a little more interactive. Jason, I wanted to start with a fun award. And I've been thinking for 5 hours how to word it exactly. So we're going to see how this works. The first award, midseason award, is the most same-ass sorriest team award. Jason, I want to know your opinion. There's a lot of same old sorry-ass teams out in the NFL. I wanted to get who you thought was the most same old sorry-ass version of themselves.
Who are the Los Angeles Rams, Andrew Pasquini?
There we go. So the first winner of the same old sorry ass team award is the same old sorry ass Rams. 8-game losing streak against the Niners. We don't talk about the other, but that's okay. Neither here nor there. Wanted to open up with that because we're having a good time here on the Sprint Red Option podcast.
You're not supposed to be happy about that win either.
No, I'm not. I'm not. Sorry, my bad. Regular season
that's what you get. That's what you get. I don't understand why you were happy about it.
When the Rams lose because their game on Sunday might be a loser leave sound game, where the loser of that game might miss the NFC playoffs. But hey, it's at least a regular season game. So if the Rams lose it and miss the playoffs because of it, regular season game doesn't matter. So that's good. Now, Jason, let's start with one that I think can be really any four of them. Let's start with best win of the season. The Niners have 4 wins. I don't know if I mentioned the 4 and 4ers at the top of the podcast. 4 wins, Seattle week 2, the Rams week 4, the Panthers week 5, and then the Rams week 8. Jason, in your personal opinion, because these are based off of our opinions, not a vote or nothing, best win of the 49ers season?
The Rams. I mean, I'm sorry. I know that's recency bias, but when you think about staying undefeated in the division, going into SoFi and doing that, having Christian McCaffrey break out, understanding that there's reinforcements on the way, this feels like a springboard win, and I could go another way with this, and I think you might disagree, and you might go with the one that I'm thinking of in my
I
head.
think I know
But
what you're thinking of.
but this one is too fresh in my mind, so I'll say the Rams just for the sake of argument.
I agree. I knew you were going to take this one, and I think we've done this podcast for 3 years now, so you knew exactly where I was going to pivot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have one win over a first place team.
They do.
And that is the Seattle Seahawks in week 2. Jason, your win is great. Great choice. I loved it. It's fantastic. But yeah, man, let's start talking about those Seattle Seahawks. They're 5-3, first place in the NFC West. Let me tell you how many points they've scored every game this season. In order: 17, 7, 23, 48, 32, 19, 37, and 27. They have the 4th most points in the NFL this year. The only time they were held to single digits, the San Francisco 49ers, 7 points. The Niners winning in week 2, 27-7. And I mean, if we really want to take it even deeper, the idea that the game that was they lost Trey Lance, obviously, to bounce back and still do what they did to the Seahawks as well.
That's why I kind of stayed away from that one. But yeah, no.
Yes, obviously. But it kind of adds to the win as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do agree. I think the Rams last week is the easy answer. But I think at some point we need to talk about this game because, Jason, as you've been saying for 2 weeks, the Seahawks are good. What was it? What was Geno Smith's quote? They were calling for me, but I didn't pick up or whatever.
They wrote me off, but I didn't write back.
That's an all-time saying. And if like Seattle goes like 2-14 or 2-15, my bad guys, 17-game season, it comes back to bite them a little bit. But now they're 5-3, best team in the NFC West. That's an iconic quote. They tried to write me off, but I didn't write back. Iconic Geno Smith.
Oh yeah, and it's a 2-team race. I tried to tell you guys. Who are the people in the comments that would tell, "Oh, y'all are tripping. Seattle's not good. Seattle's good." It's time to get ready and decide that. And yeah, and I agree with you that this is the best win. It's the best win against a quality opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Now look, we laughed at Seattle. They drafted a running back, but they drafted 2 tackles. They drafted a cornerback who leads the league in interceptions or is damn near close to Tariq Woolen. Geno Smith has thrown off-target throws 9% of the times that he's thrown the ball. The Seattle Seahawks are real. And here we are again talking about them being probably the biggest game on the schedule, Thursday Night Football. Can't have it any other way. Sounds to me like the real problem with the Seattle Seahawks was let's ride.
Let's ride. Broncos country. Let's ride. Is it time to have the conversation that Russell Wilson is a system quarterback and Pete Carroll is the system? I don't know. It's just funny because my personal hate for the Seahawks, like obviously they're a division rival. We still don't like
me
them.
from giving them compliments, but I think, guys, I think a lot of the hatred that we have for Seattle went out the window with Russell Wilson.
That was the point I was getting to. It's almost like, yeah, they're a division. I look at them more as I look at Arizona. Nobody cares about Arizona in the NFC West. What are they going to do? Start 8-1 and then get eliminated in the first round of the playoffs again? Oh no. Like Arizona's not scary. To me, Seattle is just in the Arizona category of, yeah, man, like they're a division rival, but there's really nothing other than Pete Carroll, obviously, but I think Russell Wilson is what made that team easier to hate. And now that they're gone, or he's gone, it's easier to say, yeah, I don't like the Seahawks, but it's not a hate.
Well, I think 49er fans have banded together and said, and thrown dirt on Russell Wilson's grave now. Like that, like, so they're even happy that Seattle's doing better without Russell Wilson, just so they could say Russell Wilson's washed, which he is.
Absolutely. And honestly, if Seattle ever goes back to the silver helmets, we might have a conversation about Seattle being maybe the cool team in the NFC West again.
That helmet is so fire.
If they ever, like, they were the first team I thought of when they announced that 2 teams can go 2 shells, is if they break out the OG silver helmets with the blue and the green with the gray. Oh, one of my favorite jerseys in NFL history. I look at the Sprint Red Option podcast. We love the Seahawks apparently here right now. Hot take. It is the Seahawk podcast now. What do we even call that? The Run It at the Goal Line podcast, whatever.
The I Can't Hear You podcast.
Yeah, there we go. The 12th man, the piped in sound podcast. There we go. We got it. The place was very quiet when I went to the soccer game. No, I'm joking. It was very loud there. But I don't even know where we're at this point, Jason. So best newcomer of the 49ers. That's the next category we have in our heads. There's a few good choices. I like Christian McCaffrey, I guess technically is one. So Jason, who is your best newcomer to the 49ers?
I have such a boring answer. It's so boring.
Okay.
It's Aaron Banks. Now, when you really think about the fact that everybody, did I take yours?
No, you did not, but I did
Oh,
not think of that.
oh. Well, when you think about the way that everybody projected Aaron Banks, he's a bust. The word bust was thrown around on a guy who hadn't even taken snaps. Bust. Not only is he not a bust, I could make the argument that he's played more games than Trent Williams. He's been the best offensive lineman all year this year for the San Francisco 49ers. So, yeah, I am going to say Aaron Banks because
that's such a good answer. I
once
didn't even think of it.
And the 49ers hit on a third-round pick. Or a second-round pick, I believe. A second-round pick. And, again, a lot of discussion in training camp, always struggling. Oh, is the offense going to look this way? Like, what's he going to be able to do? All he did was work. All he does is get a thankless job where nobody really talks about him. Aaron Banks is the best newcomer for the San Francisco 49ers.
That is such a damn good answer. Like I'm thrown off that you answered that so well because I like Aaron Banks didn't even come to mind. That's how bad I am at this sometimes because that's such a good choice. Wow, like claps in the chat for Jason. Fantastic pick. The name I have in mind, I'm going to mention later. So I'm not going to throw him out. I'm going to go with the lazy. I'm going to go Christian McCaffrey. Okay. Just for the excitement of what that one game was and the excitement of the Kansas City game going into it, seeing what he is. 22 is available if anybody wants it, by the way. I don't know if
next year he'll do it.
Maybe next year. I still want him to go back to 5, but that's a conversation for another. How about this? McCaffrey to 5, Lance to 10.
No.
Solved it. No. Okay. No. I tried. And Jordan Willis 52. Just to throw on top. But no, just the excitement of what Christian McCaffrey can be in this offense and then seeing it into fruition and seeing what he did against the Rams. Yes, it was one game, but I'm going to throw it out there, best newcomer, because A, my real answer, I have him somewhere else down the line, and B, just the excitement, the thought. As we said when he got traded, is the wet dream was Christian McCaffrey in Kyle Shanahan's offensive system for as long as Kyle Shanahan's been here. And I don't know the Falcons, but maybe when he was there in the Falcons, that was around his rookie year, so I guess not as much. But now to finally see it, and then for the first game could have easily been 6 receptions for 50 yards, 20 carries for 150 and a touchdown, and been like, yeah, that's exciting. But for his first full game to be a touchdown in rushing, touchdown receiving, touchdown passing, this many yards here, this many yards there, it's just like, man, like Shanahan's thinking of everything for this guy. And I joked earlier about Elijah Mitchell getting 6 carries because Shanahan's going to use McCaffrey on 98% of the touches. Like, I'm kind of joking, but I'm kind of not. And that's the thing with Christian McCaffrey is that excitement where you feel like the offense is just a little more unlocked because of him. So yeah, I'll go Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, no, and that's a great answer. I think what you saw was what Christian McCaffrey is able to do to alleviate some of the concerns that you have with, check downs. That's not really something that's really in the game for the 49ers. But now, if the offensive line is blocking in the way that they were on Sunday, Jimmy Garoppolo gets to go through all his progressions and then hit Christian McCaffrey at the bottom in the flat and against a one-on-one on a linebacker who has no chance to tackle him. It just makes everything more dynamic, puts more pressure on the defense. I think you saw the Christian McCaffrey effect a little bit in the Kansas City game, but you saw exactly what it could be, especially when he needed to be leaned on, because some of those touches are going to go away when Debo's back. So you don't really have to worry about running him into the ground. His touches will continue, but they will continue to get more efficient as they go along, even if they're dialed back.
And people talk about the injury aspect of everything with McCaffrey, with Debo, with Elijah Mitchell, with the Niners as a whole. The injury thing's not really a secret at this point. But what adding Christian McCaffrey does is it probably makes them all a little more productive with less touches, right? The ball's going to be spread out a little bit more. And I know you could say, well, they could have done that already, because if you just take Christian McCaffrey out, it's Ayuk, it's Debo, it's Kittle, it's Mitchell. But now it's another guy who could maybe even take on a little bit more. Maybe he gets more touches than Samuel. Samuel goes down to whatever touches. Ayuk is now more strictly a receiver. Obviously he's always been that role, but the ball's going to get spread out a little bit more. And it's to a point where if this was the NBA, they'd say, oh, there's only one ball, but we don't have that conversation in football. is McCaffrey. He's going to get so many touches. It's going to limit everybody else touches and ideally keep everybody just a little bit more healthy. And that's a very good thing for this Niners team because I'm tired. I'm tired of talking of injuries, Jason. It's so annoying and it's so tiring to talk about because it seems to be the thing we've talked about every week for 3 years now. So let's see what happens. But Christian McCaffrey, best newcomer, I'll take it. And it's a future take. But, I mean, after week 18, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
Yeah,
Banks is such a good answer though. I didn't even think of
it's boring.
It's not boring because if I would much rather have that conversation of the left guard being the best newcomer on the team than having the conversation we have with McGlinchey every week, right? Of Banks isn't working. What do they do?
By the way,
this is way better.
Did you see Kyle's
Yes,
thumbnail?
I did.
And what it said? And so you're the one you're holding the at least you tried.
Yep.
You McGlinchey hater.
I already had my mind set with the MJF mid video as the mid-season awards, but if it wasn't it's a beautiful thumbnail. Kyle B, we love it and we appreciate all the thumbnails you give us. Jason, always. Best individual play, best play of the season. I think there's a few. I think there's an obvious one. What do you got?
I got Deebo Samuel on Monday Night Football against the Rams. The throw from Jimmy Garoppolo, he goes up and he snags it, and then he literally runs through the defense, rings Jalen Ramsey's bell, and brings it in for a touchdown. I mean, that's Deebo Samuel, man. That's literally, for a large stretches of last year, so much of what the 49ers offense was Jimmy, just throw the ball to Deebo and let's just hope he breaks 15 tackles and goes. You don't obviously want to do that, but yeah, it's definitely that one for me, especially because the 49ers needed to have that, and Deebo Samuel just continues to dominate the Rams.
Yeah, so Roman says Hufanga picks 6. That's definitely up there. Your play, I think I'm gonna lean with as well, but I'm gonna counter just for funsies, just for giggles. I think the Mitch Wisnowski knuckle punt up there, definitely. I think that's a play that just nobody talks about. Why doesn't he knuckle punt more? But I'm going to stand on what I said Monday. Keith, thank you for the donation. The best part was Lyle's presser. No injuries. Kyle's pressure. There we go. No injuries. Yes, that's a great play as well. When he came out with the Rams press conference, was saying no injuries. That was electric. Keith.
Off of turf.
Exactly. Off of turf. By the way, Keith, we know what you're saying. You don't donate again with that comment because we know it's Kyle. You don't need to fix the edit. You're good.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you.
But thank you. We appreciate the donation. I will run with what I said on Monday, Jason. The best play of the Niners season was Christian McCaffrey's touchdown run. The 1-yard touchdown run, because I don't know if you guys can tell, I'm very excited about Christian McCaffrey.
Yes.
But the man
has been beaming.
Christian McCaffrey breaks out a 25-yard run, gets to the 1-yard line. The Niners up 10, pretty much to put the game away. The Niners are at the 1. Everybody in the building knows where this ball is going. It is going to Christian McCaffrey, and it's probably going up the middle. There it is. Touchdown. Everybody knew. But then the added bonus. This is Rams house. This is the Rams house with 98% red. That is, as a franchise, I don't know how you recover from that personally. I think if you go into a stretch of the Rams not winning a Super Bowl for 30 years. Let's even go one further because I know Marketing Pros in here and I want to rile them up a little bit. They go into a stretch of the Rams not making the playoffs for 15. I feel like that's going to be the stat. Since this is Rams house moment when Christian McCaffrey ran for a touchdown, you saw all those Niner fans, they have not made the playoffs. And that happened 15 years ago. So very embarrassing moment for the Rams. I absolutely agree. Deebo Samuel's catch and run was the best play of the season. It was electric, Jalen Ramsey. But just to get another play, throwing it out there, I think the Christian McCaffrey 1-yard run with everything that happened around it, just an iconic play.
I like it. I like it. And
nice and simple.
Yeah, and some would say the greatest 1-yard run in the history of the NFL. Yeah.
The greatest 1-yard run. I know a team in Seattle that didn't run it at the 1-yard line. Look how that worked out for them. We're just going after all the teams except the Cardinals. Nobody cares about the Cardinals. So we don't need to go after them. They're the Cardinals.
My God, man, Seattle just catches strays.
Well, I felt bad because we spent 3 minutes talking about how kind of fun the Seattle team is, and if you add the silver helmets, they're more fun. Mm-hmm. Let's knock them down a few more pegs. That's what we're gonna do. Jason, one of 2 final categories, unless you had some, and obviously if the chat has another category as well. Best defense or no defensive MVP. I don't know how I was trying to word that. Defensive MVP is the best way to word it. Who is your defensive MVP?
Come on, is this even a question? We're both going to just say Nick Bosa. I
I'm
mean,
not.
look, Nick Bosa has 8.5 sacks, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was awarded one this bye week that they
Yep.
found like later on watching the tape. So he got a sack in a bye week. And he's like right behind the guy who I think it's Micah Parsons who has the most. And he's missed a game, and he's missed a game and a half basically. It's Nick Bosa, man. I signed this man to a 300-year deal for however much money he wants, man. It's Nick Bosa, but there's an argument to be made for someone else.
And I think I have that someone else, and it's the player
Go for
that
it.
I skipped on my best newcomer, and that's Charvarius Ward.
Okay.
Is that who you were thinking?
No, I was thinking of
Oh,
Hufanga as well too.
he's also another one as well. I think Hufanga definitely. We'll talk about Hufanga. Let me go through my Ward thing because to me, best newcomer, but not just obviously. I think once again, Jason Bosa is the obvious pick. I'm picking Ward just to be a little different, throw a different thought out there. The idea of what we know the 49ers secondary, especially last season, where it was Mosley, Verrett, pray they stay healthy. And if they don't, oh God, what's going to happen? And then we kind of found out, well, what happens when they don't stay healthy? It's Amador Lenore, and then it's Ambry Thomas, and oh God, it's Josh. Remember when Josh Norman was a 49er? That feels like it was years ago.
Starting cornerback Josh Norman?
Starting
you mean
cornerback
Josh
Josh
it's
Norman.
not like Josh Norman was just like, oh, can you get in there here and there? It was we're starting Josh Norman every single
led
week.
the league in forced fumbles for a bit there as well. So forget that fact as well. But what Mooney Ward has brought in is not only a number one cornerback, but stability at the cornerback position. Unfortunately, Emmanuel Mosley's, he tears his ACL in Carolina. It sucks. But the Niners, obviously, I'm not saying they're not worried because that's a huge piece, but they still have a number one corner. Mm-hmm. And now instead of, well, we don't know what Verrett is, and now we don't know what Mosley is.
This is a solid discussion.
That's another solid discussion
that
as
Keith
well.
is bringing up. Emmanuel Mosley, and it's shown since he's been out. And the number of catches that have been allowed since Emmanuel Mosley has left has gone up. Now, you can say some of that is the Kansas City Chiefs. Some of it is undisciplined play, some coverage busts and such. But I don't think that that's a bad answer either from Keith.
This defense is so good. There's like 7 players that we can mention, right? So like take that Mosley. You very much have an argument. I'm picking Mooney Ward just because he's newcomer. You roll it into the defense, and you saw, especially when Mosley was healthy, and what you're hoping you're going to get when Verrett comes back. Ideally, Verrett comes back 100%. Is the best Niners secondary I've ever seen in my lifetime that I remember. So to unlock that aspect of the Niners defense, I think has been key. But I think absolutely Keith Mosley is a great choice, but also Talanoa Hufanga. And I think you could roll in as well. If we're going to count Aaron Banks as a newcomer, we could also maybe talk a little bit of a newcomer because Hufanga goes from the backup safety to now the starter, not only a starter, but a very good starter. Like Jason, you and I have caught some flack on the Bird app. That may not be a thing in about a week or two because of Elon Musk. We don't need to dive into that.
Wait, is that going away for real?
I don't know, man. He's not doing well. Let's just say that. But then we don't.
If it does, guys, life goes on. You'll be all right.
Yeah, no, we'll all go to Clubhouse again. We'll just make Clubhouse the new Twitter. No, but
we can fire up our AOL
AOL screen names. Yeah, I think mine was like sports fan.
drop your AOL ads in here so we can have it for when Twitter goes away.
But Talanoa Hufanga, what he's done to the secondary as well, can be seen as just important because Jaquiski Tartt was good, and I think people lose that a little bit with how good he was. Good at what he did. He was a very good zone guy. He was a very good coverage guy. Very good in run coverage. What Talanoa Hufanga brings is a little different. He is definitely, I think he's better in the box than what Tartt was, and I think he's obviously better at forcing turnovers, creating plays, things like that. They're both good in different senses. Hufanga has definitely unlocked something that the Niners defense has been lacking, and that's ability to turn the ball or force turnovers. So Hufanga definitely belongs in that conversation as well as defensive MVP. I think if we're going to go in an order, I think probably the correct order is going to be Bosa, maybe Hufanga, and then Ward. But I think Ward, just him being a first year, his free agent. He's playing the role exactly like they hoped, being a shutdown number one corner, and he's done just that. So I want to throw him in there as well as the MVP for the defense.
Yep. And Jay Aguayo, thank you for the donation. As per right option, who will play first, Armstead or Verrett? I'm gonna say both of them. I think both of them
Yeah.
come out next week, actually. So I think you'll see both of them actually.
Yeah, it's been a long week, and I know there was a tweet that went around. I'm gonna try and find. I'm pretty sure Lombardi tweeted it of the list of players the Niners are gonna get back after the bye week, and I'm probably gonna have to go back a few days to find this tweet. But the list is pretty dang good, and I believe Verrett and Armstead were both on the list. As I still have not found it, I'm still talking, stalling the time. But yeah, the Niners are going to get a lot of players back from injury this week. I'm going to say Verrett if I have to pick one, but I definitely like Jason's. Hey, they're both going to come back. I think that's a good one because everybody. I'm not finding this tweet. I'm struggling a little bit. That's okay. But everybody who you've pictured who has been injured is probably coming back next week.
Yeah. Yeah, Elijah Mitchell for sure. Aziz you'll probably see back mid-November, which is going to be a welcome sight. And yeah, I mean, and then just don't forget the people that have been dealing with injuries now get an entire week off. So this team is largely going to be as healthy as it's been since week one. And I think that's what has so many 49er fans excited.
I think I found the baby version of the tweet. Next time the 49ers take the field versus the other LA team, they may as well have Elijah Mitchell, Juwan Jennings, Jason Verrett, Dre Greenlaw, Eric Armstead. Uncertainty surrounding Armstead, but what a bump in trajectory for SF today. And we'll go into this conversation after offensive MVP because I think things are looking very up for the 49ers. Mm-hmm. So we'll dive into that conversation because of the injuries and all that, because we'll look forward to the second half in a second here. Jason, the last category I had was offensive MVP, and I'm very curious to see who you say, because now with the smile you have on your damn face, that smile, that damn smile, as she says in 13 Reasons Why, who is your offensive MVP? I think we have the same guy.
Brandon Ayuk.
Oh, we don't have the same guy. Okay, Brandon Ayuk. I like it.
Brandon Ayuk has been the guy that's been on the field the most out of all of the weapons, right? Obviously, Christian McCaffrey just got here. Deebo Samuel just missed a game. George Kittle was struggling to get on the field. Brandon Ayuk has been the guy week after week, every single time that they needed something. And, 2 touchdowns against Atlanta, a touchdown again in the LA game. I think he has a touchdown in 3 straight games, if I'm not mistaken. You're watching the coming out party for a guy that we thought was going to happen immediately last year. But it's Ayuk. And it's more based on the idea that he has been the most healthy. He has been the most productive. He's been the guy that whenever they've needed something big, it's been him. And now we're going to finally see this dynamic with all of these weapons. But for me, it's Brandon Ayuk just because his trajectory is going like this, up, up, and up. And I don't want to blame Deebo Samuel. He was injured in this game. That's a hamstring. That's fine. You take the week off and you'll be back. He'll be fine. And that's not downplaying George Kittle or even Christian McCaffrey. But Ayuk's been here the entire year. He's been the one who's been balling out the most. It's Brandon Ayuk for me.
Brandon Ayuk's a great pick. I'm going to go James. I'm going to go Jimmy.
Garoppolo.
I'm going to go Jimmy. Listen, guys.
Woo! I can't wait to see the. All right, I'm just going to sit back and watch the comments here.
People, I know people are going to yell at me, and I get it. I understand it. But God, now I feel like you leaning back, like more pressure on me to prove my point here, and I'm like, oh God, now people are going to get real angry.
Your thing. And look, there's an argument to be made for it. Go for it.
I think there's an argument to be made for it, right? 11 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. If it holds through the rest of the season, his 1.9% interception percentage would be a career low. And that's the one thing a lot of people complain about Jimmy Garoppolo is the turnovers, and he's managed not to do it. It seems like they've come in a bit of bunches, obviously with like the Denver game, the Atlanta game, pretty much the losses, right? But in the wins, I mean, the lack of turnovers has been key. And also the one thing I don't want this to come off as really mean, because it might come off really mean. Jimmy Garoppolo is playing, and that means Brock Purdy isn't. And the Niners are not 4-4 right now. Listen, I know there's a lot of people that like Purdy, but it's this situation once again where he's a backup quarterback. It's only going to be sustainable for so long. Are the Niners 4-4?
Andrew, I don't think
with
that there's
Purdy.
necessarily people that like Purdy. I think they're interested to see what he
What he
is. I
is,
mean, I
yes.
don't know what you can see that you liked about
Yeah,
him. He
sorry,
played
yeah.
like
They're interested in
not
finding out
you.
what he
They,
is.
yeah, that some people are so firmly out on Jimmy Garoppolo that they would prefer to watch Brock Purdy play. I would tell you, I would rather eat a pencil than have to watch Brock Purdy play extended football. But go for it, Andrew.
Yeah, I'll change that out. They want to see what he is, but what that turns into is potentially, yes, it potentially can be amazing. It could be great. That's fine. But at the same time, it could also potentially turn into Nick Mullins. It could turn into CJ Beathard. And yes, those worked for a very short time and then they did it and now they're not here. Jimmy Garoppolo, and the way I worded it after the Trey Lance injury, it kind of stands true, is because the Niners were with Trey Lance as their quarterback. They were Super Bowl contenders, yes, absolutely, because of their roster, but at the same time, developing a young quarterback and being and willing to go through those bumps and bruises. And you got to remember, Jason, our idea of what a successful season for the 49ers was, yeah, forget the record, like the record might suffer, but to say from week one, Trey Lance, or excuse me, at week 18, Trey Lance has taken that step from week one, kind of what we've seen from Justin Fields a little bit, right? That's a fair one to compare it to. But now with the injury, they went from this tweener, like Super Bowl contender, to trying to develop a young quarterback to probably perennial playoff contenders, if not Super Bowl contenders, because you know what Jimmy Garoppolo is. And that's something we have said on this podcast multiple times is we know what Jimmy Garoppolo is. There's no point in complaining about it anymore because he's going to have the games where he has multiple turnovers. He's going to have games where he looks just fine. The thing is his just fine games are happening more than the bad games. And that's where I think he deserves a lot of credit, because if you would have told me after Lance goes down and after what we saw, especially after Seattle, they beat Seattle, but then Denver, and seeing what Jimmy was, if you told me that 6 games into this, Jimmy would have 11 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, I would have been shocked, like, because that's never who Jimmy Garoppolo has been. Even in his 5-game burst back in 2017, when everybody was saying Garoppolo wins, the interceptions were going on. He was 7-5, 7 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. So once again, like I love the Ayuk conversation of him being MVP, but Jimmy Garoppolo being there, and obviously we could talk about the pay cut as well, things like that. I think Garoppolo deserves to at least be in the conversation. That's why I'll personally pick him. He's the quarterback, and he's playing at maybe the best level we've seen him play as a Niner.
Andrew Pasquini, why would you say something so controversial yet so
I know,
brave?
right? Yeah,
Say
no,
it.
and like I don't want it to come off as that, but like I think we're so used to just saying, "Oh yeah, the Niners are very good," and Jimmy Garoppolo is just there making sure they stay good. Where now, like, Jimmy Garoppolo is playing good. Like
Mhm.
he's just playing good. And yes, as I said, you could take the Kansas City game, you could take the Denver game. He's still going to have those games, but as I said, a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Last year he was a 2-to-1.
Mhm.
His MVP year, or not MVP, God, MVP year, 2019, his Super Bowl year. Let me take that back, reel that one back a little bit. He was at 2-to-1, 27-13.
Yeah.
So, like obviously, this is through 6 games. Is it sustainable? I don't know, but he's shown through 6 games it's sustainable, and that's a third of a season. So
Yeah.
who knows? Who knows, man? So yeah,
Right.
I'm gonna throw Jimmy Garoppolo, and why not? He's my MVP for the offense.
You're making good points. It's hard to argue any of them. Jay Aguirre, thank you for the donation. Esperant right option. Would Sudfeld or Purdy take us to the playoffs? Absolutely not. No.
No,
So,
yeah,
but here's the thing: backup quarterbacks are backup quarterbacks
yes,
for a reason, because they can come in spurts, 1 or 2 games, and play well. But once the book is out and the tape is out, they tend to fall off. See Nick Mullins, see
yes,
basically every other backup. The difference with Jimmy is Jimmy's not a backup. Jimmy's a starter in this league. So
mhm,
that's why this is completely different. So, I mean, with Sudfeld or Purdy, no. If you had Sudfeld play for 1 game, he could right the ship. I guarantee you he could keep you afloat, like he is that type of guy. But if either of these guys, and this pretty much goes for every single backup quarterback in the league, aside from a few, once you're in, you're not going to have sustained success. So, like, it's just I have little to no faith in Brock Purdy, and I know what Nate Sudfeld is, even though he's in Detroit.
Yeah, no, and I would feel more comfortable with Sudfeld than Purdy because Sudfeld's been in the league and he's had some success. He was decent with the Eagles for
And
a
he could spin
stretch,
that thing.
and he could definitely spin that thing, as Jason would say. It just, to me, it does fall back into that conversation of backup quarterbacks, and it's a conversation this podcast is very familiar with. But even too, like Cooper Rush, right? Like Cowboy fans loved him, and then he kind of, went back down to earth, and then Dak Prescott's there, and even a little bit in New England with, I'm drawing a blank on their backup, Bailey Zappi, right?
Bailey Zappi, Mac Jones, same thing. Like literally the
Yeah,
same person. You can't tell them apart.
So that's my thing on it. Like, I absolutely, I get the idea that like Sudfeld and Purdy could take them to the playoffs, but I think it's significantly harder. And I mean, also too, like, is that question's a little different to answer if you asked us week 1 or week now, because maybe they do because of how bad the NFC is, and maybe they just do enough for the Niners to just get into a playoff spot. Week 1, definitely not, when you thought that the Rams were going to be the Rams and the Bucks and the Packers and all those.
Let me ask you this, Andrew. If Nate Sudfeld or Brock Purdy were the quarterback, the 49ers trade for Christian McCaffrey?
No, absolutely not. Yeah, and that's the other aspect to it, is like, because of Jimmy Garoppolo, like, I don't want to say it like this, but like it's easier to deal with the Trey Lance injury, right?
There's no real easy way to spin.
Yeah, there's no easy way to say. I'm not trying to say the Niners hoped they could get Jimmy out there, but yeah, it's easier to deal with that.
Yeah, usually when a starting quarterback is lost for the season, the entire season is flushed.
Yes.
That is not the case for the San Francisco 49ers. Probably the best way you could put it.
And also Jimmy Garoppolo taking a pay cut. I mean, and then again, it doesn't really work because McCaffrey's on a vet minimum.
Well, and then not even that.
I guess that doesn't work.
He's racking up money as he keeps playing. Like if all these trends continue and they win playoff games, he might just walk away with like very close to what he was gonna make.
Yeah, and Jason, as I said, I love your Ayuk pick. He has been very consistent, and Keith loves that as well. Thank you.
Thank you for the donation.
But I just think we're so used to just Jimmy being a character on the team, and him being because like always, and it's always like Debo and Trent Williams and George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk, and then Jimmy's there. But this year it feels like maybe the offense could hum at certain points because of Jimmy Garoppolo and things like that. So yeah, I love Brandon Ayuk. I think we need to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo a little bit, a little bit more.
No problem. I mean, it's a very, very fair take. It is.
Thank you.
I know a lot of people aren't going to jump on board with that, and that's probably not the first. I'm shocked that you said that. Oh,
yeah, I thought when you were smiling, I thought maybe you're going Jimmy.
Oh, no.
I was like, oh man, there we go.
You thought I was going to pull out the trolling. No. I think it's fair, and I do think that he's been playing very well. Aside from the Denver game, I can only say that's the only real game where he's played poorly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look.
And I kind of throw out the Kansas City game a little bit because that was just whatever.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the defense couldn't stop anybody in that game. But right now, if you look at the confidence that it instills in the rest of this team, in the front office said, you know what, we need to make a move for Christian McCaffrey because we feel we can win now. That's because of Jimmy Garoppolo being there under center. So look, guys, again, no need to change the way you view him. I think the way that everybody views him in terms of where he ranks within the quarterback hierarchy, nice word, is still the same. I don't think that changes. And I don't think that anybody needs to go ahead and say, well, I'm sorry. None of that at all. But I do understand what Andrew is saying, and there is an argument to be made that this football that you are watching from Jimmy Garoppolo happens to be the best that it has been under the 49ers. How much of that has to do with the fact that there is nobody that anybody wants to see behind him play as opposed to last year, right? Yeah. Like so many people were clamoring last year, hey, let's see the kid. I can promise you 3 49ers fans is not the same as the people clamoring for Trey Lance, because I guarantee you nobody wants to see Brock Purdy play extended football. And look,
some people might want to see it, but if you do, you have to abandon all playoff hopes.
Right. So it's like, for what? Like, are you? Do you want to like have some fun with the season, go into the playoffs, see what happens, take your chances, because you never know what could happen. And when people say, "Well, would you say this team's a Super Bowl team?" I don't think that that's fair to ask right now. You should ask that question going into the playoffs, because What if playoff teams have devastating injuries to impact players? Their whole outlook changes. There's no point in getting all wrapped up in, well, it's week 8. I don't think this 49ers team can make a run to the Super Bowl. Just get to the playoffs, and then we'll reassess from there. We'll reassess what the Eagles look like. We'll reassess what the Cowboys look like, and every other team that's going to be there. As of right now, making any grandiose predictions or anything like that seems foolish. And I know it's fun. We all talk. Sports is basically half of it talking about is hypotheticals. But you should just wait to see where this team is after week 18 in comparison to the other playoff teams before we rush to judgment about where they're going to be going.
Yeah, and I'm nobody you need to know. This is a conversation I've seen happening on certain corners of the internet with the dropped interceptions. You got to do that with every other quarterback then, because it's not a Jimmy.
Tua on Monday Night Football threw 4 balls right to Steelers defenders, and they dropped them all. Again, this discussion only comes around on Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah,
not every other quarterback has dropped interceptions.
But then on the flip side, can we talk about the sheer amount of passes? I can think of off the top of my head 2 touchdowns dropped. The Ray McLeod, and then I believe Deebo Samuel had another drop in the back of the end zone as well. Not to mention, the one off the top of my head, Seattle, the Brandon Ayuk behind the shoulder throw. Like the drops work both ways as well.
Charlie Warner, Ray McLeod, those are touchdowns.
Yeah. So listen, I understand the dropped interceptions, but here's the thing. If wishes were fishes, the world would be an ocean, right? But that's not the case.
Or if ifs were splits, we'd all be high.
Yeah, I like that one better. I really like that one. and so I get it, the dropped interceptions, but at the end of the day, it counts as a 0 in the interception. And yes, we could focus on them and complain about them. I get it. I am taking that into account. Doesn't take away from my point that defenders are dropping his INTs. Listen, I'm nobody you need to know. I'm starting to maybe form of who you are, maybe. Neither here nor there. But no, sure, man, dropped interceptions, that might be the case. Until the interceptions start getting caught, I'm not going to concern myself with them. That's what it is. That's where I'm at with it. Yeah. 4 interceptions. If you go to Pro Football, if you go to any sports stat tracking website, that interception number is going to be 4. And that doesn't matter for the dropped interceptions. It really doesn't. So, as I said, I understand it to an extent, but at the end of the day, they're just incomplete passes. It's like foul balls, right? It's just a long strike. That's all it is. As a pitcher, right? You give up a foul ball that's a home run. Just a long strike. No worries, no harm, no foul. It's just an incomplete pass.
Like yesterday, the Phillies player almost had a triple.
Exactly.
And guess what? The guy caught it, and he
doesn't get to. Schwarber's not standing on third because it should have been a triple. It was a catch. Yeah. That plain and simple. That's what it is. So Jason, there it is. Also, half of the conversation with Jimmy as well. Last thing I'll make: 6 games, 9 games remaining. If you take his current stats, 2.5 of them roughly, 29 touchdowns, 10 interceptions for roughly 4,000 yards. That's roughly what he's on pace. This is very quick Andrew math, so that could be very wrong as well. So if anybody wants to type it into a calculator, you could tell me how right I am, but I'm pretty confident it's roughly 29, 10, and 4, maybe 3, 9 for yards. If that's what you told me I was getting out of Jimmy Garoppolo, oh my God. So I'll leave it at that with Jimmy. Jason, halfway point, bye week, 4-4. The Niners have 9 games remaining. 6 of the 9. I don't know why my hands. I'm very Italian today, talking with my hands quite a bit. I'm all over the place. 6 games left at Levi's Stadium, 3 on the road, and one of them is actually a Mexico City game, not in Arizona. So 2.5 on the road. It's a neutral site. Where do you see the Niners finishing? Where do you see this going?
Let's get to this donation. Thank you, Big Boy Lewis. Happy Friday. Still smoking that Rams pack. It's so refreshing, actually. It's still in the air. I love it. So 9 games left. They're 4-4. I've got this team winning 11 games. I mean, when you look down the schedule right now, the toughest game is going to be, close your ears, 49ers fans, in Seattle on Thursday Night Football again. So that's the thing. It's Arizona is, I have to give Arizona props. They are reversing the course on failing late in the season by failing early in the season. I really love that for them and applaud them for trying to change the narrative. I applaud that for them. The Los Angeles Chargers are a mess. Keenan Allen comes out of the bye. He's not playing this week. He's probably not going to play next week either. They are missing pieces. They are not the team that many people thought they were. A lot of that has to do with coaching. When you go back, to 2 games against Arizona, 1 more with Seattle. There's very winnable games all across the board. I've got this team winning 11 games, especially with the addition of Christian McCaffrey and the fact that reinforcements are coming. It's pretty funny. We would have said 11 wins early in the season. Didn't look like we could get there after the second or third week. But what I've learned from last year about calling the season too early is you got to let things play out. And look at us now. We're talking about a 4-4 team that right now the national media has completely flipped on. I don't know if you guys have put on any ESPN, any Fox Sports.
Real high on them. Real high on them.
It literally has gone from the conversation of Philly's running away with this thing to the 49ers can go in there and beat them. And it's so funny what happens after 1 week. It's just crazy. So, again, those same national people that were writing us off, guess what? 49ers in right back.
Yeah, man. And my thing, so 7-2 for the rest of the season. We get the Niners to 11-6. So, Jason, that's a fantastic prediction. I think I'm with you. I think 7-2. I've been on record before the Rams game. I said the Niners aren't losing until at least December. I stand by that. Perk Dog, thank you. What's happening? Love you. We appreciate you. Day one. He's been there for a while. The Niners through November, it's the Chargers at the Cardinals and the Saints. Come on, you can't tell me they can't win those 3 games. There's November.
Oh, and it's all in on Saints slander now that Jameis is not starting anymore.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. If Jameis isn't the starter, nobody cares about Andrew Dalton other than maybe a sunshine here or there. Andrew Dalton, yeah. I've been told when he's hot and like has the haircut, he's Andrew. So we're gonna call him Andrew Dalton. Hi Angie, how you doing?
Angie, yeah, that's an Angie Sunshine. I love Angie in the morning.
But I mean, you compare this season to last year because I think it's very comparable, right? Slow start through 8 games, 4-4 versus 3-5. Do you know how different this 4-4 is, the 3-5? Not just because of the one game, but I went through the standings last year. Not only were the Rams 7-1, but the Cardinals were 7-1. At this point last year, the NFC West was gone. The Niners weren't going to win it. They were 3-5, 4 games behind both Arizona and Los Angeles. They weren't coming back. Right now, they're 4-4, a game behind a team I've said this before, a team they own the tiebreaker over in Seattle. The Niners can very easily be a top 3 seed, and maybe, who knows, maybe Philadelphia falls back down to earth a little bit. They finish with like 5 losses. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in Philly.
Their fatal flaw was kind of put on tape though yesterday.
Yeah. And Philly, like I know their city is hot right now. You know, you got the World Series, you got the 8-0 Eagles, you got the Philadelphia Union and the MLS Cup. At some point, that's going to drop. That's going to fall.
And I think the Sixers are whipping on the Knicks.
I don't know. Sixers aren't a real team. Unserious basketball.
The Knicks aren't a real
team.
Yeah,
the Knicks are also very unserious. The NBA's having some issues right now as well. We don't need to dive too much.
Don't start, please.
We won't start. There we go. Here it is. If we beat Seattle, split with Cards, 10-7. Jay Aguayo, thank you for the donation. You know, I'll go even hotter. Why don't they never lose again?
There's only one thing left for us to do, and this is a major league reference: win the whole fucking thing. And
never lose again.
Don't lose again.
This second half of the schedule, if you rewind to the schedule preview, the back in May when we did this episode and we had Tim and Brian on, and we're like, oh man, lost the Chargers, the Cardinals, the Buccaneers, the Raiders, maybe a little bit. Tough. This is scary. And now it's like, you look at it, Chargers, they can beat the Chargers. Cardinals, they can beat the Cardinals. Saints, they can beat the Saints. Dolphins, they can beat the Dolphins. Buccaneers, they can beat the Buccaneers. Seahawks, they can beat them. I'm listing their schedule at this point, but Commanders, they can beat them. Raiders should easily beat them. Cardinals, they can beat them. This is very
hopefully
favorable.
That week 18 game doesn't matter.
Yeah. So I'll go. You know what? I'll go one. I'm going to buy. I'll go 12 wins. I'll go 8-1 the rest of the way.
Love it.
Why not? Because I think that's very doable. And maybe if the bye week's a little shifted and it's before the Rams game and not after it, and we're coming off that Chiefs game, maybe we're talking a little different. But the NFL is a week-to-week league. Based off what I saw Sunday, I'm feeling really good about what the Niners are going to be. And it's not a very easy schedule. It can get hard because if Tampa Bay turns it around by then, I wouldn't be surprised. But as of November 4th, the schedule looks easy and the Niners should roll.
Fun time to be a 49ers fan right now. You know, that wins the springboard. You get all your guys back, and then you start you're letting your imagination run wild. So, yeah, I mean, 49er fans kind of deserve it with the way that this offseason kind of went off, the way that, you know, obviously after Trey Lance's injury, how down we were. But, yeah, this is a fun time. And again, put away your personal biases. It's just time to get behind this team because this is what they are, and let's just have some fun this year, man. That's all I care
Hey,
about.
yeah, man, and they're in a position to do it. It's been fun already. We're halfway through, Jason. You know how scary
Yeah.
that is? You remember like back in July, we were like, man, I'm so excited to finally talk about real games happening. And now
Mhm.
we're halfway through. We're burning through it. Keith Murphy, Philly has too much of a favorable schedule. That's a good
That's true.
point. I've
Very
seen
true.
it. I don't know
Mhm.
off the top of my head how good it is. I
I mean,
don't
their
look at the
schedule's been favorable to this point,
yeah.
also as well. This is not us downplaying the Philadelphia Eagles because there's always
Yeah,
a
oh yeah.
team like this,
I'm throwing
But yeah,
hypothetically, maybe they stumble a little bit, they lose
yeah.
a few more games. I mean, looking at their schedule, maybe they lose to the Packers, and then maybe they lose to the Titans, and then the Cowboys. That's on the road, and who knows? Things happen, and obviously, you could easily do that with the Niners schedule. But my job for this podcast is to hype the Niners up, and not necessarily hype them up, but talk about the Niners. I know the
And be
Niners.
objective.
I know that. Yeah, I'm objective, obviously. I know the Niners schedule a little bit better than what's going on in Philly. Unfortunately, I wish I was a little more well versed on Philly, but I know the Niners a little better than I know them. So definitely, I get that. Absolutely, you are correct. They do have a favorable schedule. Niners do too. So we'll see what happens. I think that's half the fun of the season.
Hell yeah, good teams win good teams win ball games though. It doesn't matter who's on the schedule. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. So hey guys, that's it. It was a fun one.
yeah,
Nice, easy, light. Bye week. Enjoy the bye week, guys. Take
yeah.
some time. Don't even think about the Niners. We'll take care of that for you guys Monday when we come back, or maybe next Friday when we come back. We'll see what our schedule
Well,
is.
there's a rooting guide a little bit, right?
There's a
For this
rooting
week.
guy. Actually, an article I'm about to write. I don't know if you heard, Jason. We both write for Niners Nation. I'm actually about to write a rooting guide because there
Mhm.
are two games of concern for the 49ers. The Cardinals are playing against the Seahawks. Obviously, I think Niner fans should want to cheer for the Cardinals a little bit there because the Niners will be a little bit closer to first place in the NFC West. And then the other game is the Buccaneers against the Rams. And as I mentioned earlier, that might be a loser leaves town game.
Yep.
That might be it. See
Mhm.
who loses that. Could be out of the running, but we'll see.
Yep.
Obviously, a lot of weeks left. And then the other one, just to give you a full preview of the article, if you want something to where you're not even going to think about the Niners for the bye week, go to New York Buffalo. That'll be fun, and it'll be a good game between you could
Oh yeah, right
scout.
here.
Yeah, you can scout the Niners Super Bowl opponent in the Buffalo Bills, and you could also watch Robert Saleh, Niners legend. So if you want something that has nothing to do with the Niners, that's a very good one to watch. So
Yeah.
Bills Jets would be fun.
And in the spirit of keeping this fun, I want to tease a little something that I have going on. I know you guys have seen there's a lot of people, content creators who have been doing the supporters club on the 49ers app, Q&A. You've seen a few people. I'm on the 22nd. So if you want to join and be the supporters club, you can sign up for the supporters club. I'll be on the 49ers app answering questions. It's insane. The team reached out and they wanted to get it
November
done. And
22nd.
that
Just want to
November
make sure we get the
22nd.
dates.
Yeah, I'm super excited, man. And that's something that I never thought would be possible. I just thought that we were just going to be talking to each other like on camera. But, to have the team reach out and say, hey, we want you to do this. It's a humbling moment, and I'm really excited. So I just wanted to throw that out there for you guys. Clear your schedule. It's a Tuesday on the 22nd. I'll be on the 49ers app. Official.
Very excited for Jason. It's great to see you grow. I'm excited. Also, the day before my birthday. No, don't forget that, guys.
Hey,
just throwing that one out there.
Day before my birthday, right now.
Right now, Jason just revealing that information. I wasn't sure if I could reveal it, so I'll say happy early birthday. I mean, if you want, we could sit here and talk for another 2 hours and 47 minutes. We could grant midnight on the East Coast. Say happy birthday live to Jason
What I'm doing is catching up on House of the Dragon. I'm going to take the rest of this weekend.
Oh, you need to. How far behind are you?
I've only seen episode 1.
Wow, you are in for a ride. I need you.
Oh, I am.
This is interesting. This is reverse. This is reversed.
Right?
Because I was watching Game of Thrones when you were done, and now I know what happens. You're in for a wild ride, my guy. It's be good, very good. I tweeted just to get spicy. Season 6 Game of Thrones, Season 1 House of the Dragon, Season 5 Game of Thrones. Like I'm up. I am sold on House of the Dragon, and I cannot wait till 2024.
Thank you, Sin. Thank you, Dawson. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, the bye week couldn't have come at a better time. So
also, Sin, I just wanted to let you know, like I have thought at least 18 times last week about how awesome it was to like meet you on this. Like that was an electric moment, and I know we're teetering into like Sprint Red Option Podcast dark conversations at this
We're
point.
not.
Hey, it's an outro. It's an outro, Jason. We do what we want on our outros. It's our
That's right.
podcast.
That's right.
So Sin, it was very cool to meet you. Jason, I guess we're wrapping. I don't know how we got an hour out of this. Time flies when you're having fun, as the kids would say.
Yeah, especially when you're able to talk about the 4-4 San Francisco 49ers and their prospects going forward. Time is always going to fly when you're having that much fun. Thank you guys for all tapping in. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for when we go live. Probably be a little bit more scaled back as, you know, the week is off for us. But knowing the 49ers, there'll always be something to talk about, and we'll just have to either break in for like an emergency podcast or something like that. So, yeah, man, appreciate you guys.
Rappaport just retweeted a second suspect, 14, was arrested in the armed robbery attempt of Brian Robinson, 17 and a 14-year-old. Unbelievable. Jason, appreciate it. It was fun. Time flies. Again, Monday, maybe. Friday for sure. Because
Friday for sure, preview.
Niners have a Sunday night. I'm not gonna sing the song. Not gonna sing it against the Chargers coming up. So we'll for sure be here Friday, maybe Monday. We'll let you guys know. Jason Aponte, as always.
Let's go Niners. Keep smoking that Rams back too.
I just wish I got one less button throughout the podcast. That's really all I wanted.
Oh my God. Welcome everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners.